Okay, what is up, guys? My name is Nick, and this is Roll Coverage, home of the press conference breakdown. And if you are not ready for this Panthers Saints game, then I don't even know why you're even bothering to get here, because Dave Canales is going to bring us another banger of a press conference. We, of course, got some crazy news with Mr. Chai-san, but without further ado, let's jump right over to it.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope.
They roll coverage. Great break after camp. Couple of days to just regroup, kind of gather our minds, reconnect with our families. A lot of the reports just going around the building. A lot of guys took advantage of that time to be able to, just kind of recenter before we get into the season. So, and then of course the challenge coming off of a break is let's get back to work. And so it was a great day of work. Guys flying around. So we got quite a few new faces around, the building. So just seeing those guys starting to get comfortable, hear the calls, play faster and play to the, to what we saw on film. So a great day for that evaluation. And then again, just a chance for us to keep moving the ball forward as we get ready for New Orleans this week.
Absolutely, and I will be watching the game. Probably gonna, to be honest, I'm gonna do what I do every time. We're gonna end up watching it once live, and then of course I'm gonna rewatch it. This is gonna be a very interesting one. Of course, the New Orleans Saints have Derek Carr and that whole controversy with Mr. Rattler. Now, I do believe Mr. Rattler will win. He is the faster bite in the West, whatever you want to call it. I'm just super excited for this. This is a great matchup. This should be a win for the Panthers. Okay, I'm going to sit here and literally talk out of both sides of my mouth. Okay, I think that the Panthers should lose this game if the Saints played 100% to how they can. I'm not sure how this Carolina Panthers team can play. Now, would I be surprised if we won? Absolutely not. 1-0. Let's keep it going, and hopefully this Canales experiment is going to work. If it's a 0-1, hopefully it's a close one, maybe a 19-17, something nice, kind of in the ballpark. But if it ends up being a blowout on either side, I think the overreactions are going to fly on Monday. I just want to know your thoughts. Do you really think that the Saints can beat us? It's the pass rush that worries me. The secondary, even worse for guys even like Chris Olave. Oh my God, great wide receiver.
Dave, we saw the new numbers. Have you guys voted on captains yet?
We have. So we're going to hold that for a couple of days. Just talk to the group, announce it to the team on Wednesday. Leadership council, captains, all those things, which I think will be so valuable for us going forward. And a lot of really, really good candidates for that. Just some leadership that was already in place here. So I'm excited about it.
Do you know how many captains you're going to have overall?
I'd like to have 3 representative from offense, defense, special teams, and we'll have a rotational 4th player just week to week as we see fit.
Clowney.
Interesting way to handle it. I believe Bryce was a team captain last year, so this would be a second year as team captain. It would be very odd to have him be team captain last year and not team captain this year. So that one, just lock that one in. That one's nice and easy.
Out there today, what's going on there?
Yeah, illness. So just wanted to, play. He came in not feeling great, so we just wanted to keep him away from the rest of the group as we get closer to the game, and we'll get him healthy, and he'll hopefully be back out there to practice on Wednesday.
With this being kind of like the extra practice day of the week,
Yeah.
How did you guys kind of manage Ian and Tommy kind of heading into the actual week of work?
Yeah, still working on making sure we get good eyes on them. How much can we expect for them to be available? Again, trying to stay away from, timelines and all those things as we go into the week. But, it's definitely something that we've been on for a couple of weeks now, so I'm really counting on those guys.
Yeah, and he's counting on them so much that we went out and got the Packers tight end.
Was St. stoked to learn that he was going to get the 0 jersey?
Oh yeah, he was fired up, and again for us the message to him was your work, the thing that you've done every day since you've gotten here, applying yourself, that doesn't change. Continue to stay on this progression of growing. But I was really glad to just make that get that moment for JT to just feel like, hey, we're counting on you. You've done a great job. You were dependable. You were consistent this camp, and let's keep that going in the right direction.
You go into this week.
Hey, I know I don't normally do it, but congratulations to those guys. I do believe Sanders deserved the 0 jersey. I think it's a beautiful one. I think it's going to sell great. It's definitely going to be one of the top jerseys right behind Bryce Young. And of course, if we decide to to retain Deontay Johnson.
With like who's first up at the other edge spot opposite Clowney?
Yeah, we got a whole group, so we're going to take that all the way to game day. And just, we got a group of guys we're counting on. And so they've had a lot of opportunities to show us what they're doing, but we kind of want to leave it like that right now.
Dave,
That is Dave telling you, being as blatantly honest but coach speaky as possible, that nobody in that room opposite Clowney is ready to take the mantle, and that is a problem. It's a problem I've been saying for a while, secondary right behind it, and of course the offensive line. We need that cohesiveness to kind of all work together. This pass rush might not need to do as much because teams could be wanting to rush us more. Derek Brown is going to be great for that, of course, with what he broke yesterday. Broke last year's record for tackles, for a defensive tackle. Absolutely awesome. And moving forwards, I'm wanting him to develop, but I can't expect him to go out there and get 10, 12, 15 tackles. I need a Clowney. I need a Johnson. Up until recently, I needed a Chai-San to rush the passer, but we don't have that anymore now, so that room gets even more crazier, I think.
I'm kind of curious what your strategy is going ahead with the running back. Obviously, Miles came in as a starter last year, and then lost his job. Chuba took over. Are you the type that wants to use one guy to go, or multiple split carries? What is how do you want to approach that at running back?
Yeah, there's value to both. So just talking to running backs over the years, there's value to letting a guy be out there and get the rhythm, to really start breathing, start seeing the runs, pressing it, feeling how the line's blocking on that day, And then there's a flip side of it where you have two really good backs and you just rotate them through, And if a guy has a couple of plays stacked together and has a nice long run, then you can get the other guy and you have fresh legs to be able to attack it that way. That's really the approach that we would hope for, to keep, Miles and Chuba just continuing to spot each other as we go through it. And of course, third downs as well, counting on those guys with protection and what they can do in the pass game. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You've talked about Miles making up ground. How has he looked? Is he headed into week one?
He's looked fantastic. He came into camp just with this focus and this seriousness about the way he's worked. He's really emerging as a leader. Chuba has as well. So we have great leadership coming out of that room. It's really one of the featured rooms on our team in terms of the character of what we're looking for. The guys that are out there are available, work hard, finish runs, and they kind of set the tone for what we're doing. So I'm really pleased with that group as a whole.
Is this the final year of Chuba Hubbard, though? Miles is still under contract for a few years. And of course, we got Brooks with that rookie deal. He's with us for a few years. So is there a scenario where Chuba goes out there, 700-800 rushing yards this year, walks off into the sunset and decides to go somewhere else? Because next year he's going to be coming back to being running back 2 behind at least Jonathan Brooks, most likely, if not Miles Sanders, depending on where it is. Now, obviously, if we just trade the Sanders contract, that makes it a little easier for us, but I'm not really sure how the negative cap would affect it. So I'm not really sure if that's even a viable option. We might be pigeonholed into the idea that moving forwards, it's going to be Brooks and Sanders in the running back room. And then, of course, Blackshear back there and whoever else we decide to draft in the future or pick up off the waiver. But I could see a scenario where Chuba is no longer with this team in 2025, or to be honest, if he's a valuable enough trade piece, be gone in 2024 by the trade deadline. I want to know your thoughts. Make sure you put them below. I know this one's kind of, pushing it a little bit given the depth in the running back room and the injuries there. But if Jonathan Brooks comes back week 4, 5, 6, and you can flip Chuba for a 5th before he walks out or before we decide to not sign him until the offseason, might as well try. That's at least what I hope Dan Morgan will do. Try to do something from nothing.
Specifically with Bryce, what is his week one? What does the beginning of his week one look like in comparison to, the preseason training camp, etc.? Like, what are his routines different?
Yeah, really what it comes down to, Alex, is getting the flow of the exchange of information. So as we put together our first and second down plan, regrouping and talking about, especially, making sure the run game is right, but then especially talking about the passes, the actions, the shot plays, the empties, whatever those things might be where Bryce feels comfortable, there's an important dialogue that happens. Then you go to Thursday, big third down day, right? And that's a huge day because as we start to collect information about Bryce and about our group, our skill group, it all starts with a protection plan. But then as we get to the concepts, it's which ones does he look confident? Which ones does he just feel great about? So that conversation happens. We have a recap on Thursday afternoon, and then Friday kind of tying in the red zone. So I think that the flow of information, now that we have, the Buffalo was kind of a snapshot of a game plan week. This week's going to have the full game plan. So we'll have all of those things to talk about so that as we organize our call sheet, it all reflects what we feel most confident. And we'll certainly take, Bryce's feedback, really the quarterback room feedback as we go into those. So I think beyond that, the workload looks the same, as far as just what we're doing on the field, the fundamentals, the footwork, all those things would be the same. But I think the dialogues do kick into another gear as we get into this game.
That was beautiful, Dave. Beautiful. Bravo, bravo, bravo to Dave Canales. Because the reason why you come to Roll Coverage are these press conference breakdowns, and this is the reason why I do them. See how calm, relaxed, see how he's able to go out there and give you measurable responses. He's able to give you a little bit of the game plan. Hey, this is what we're doing with the scheme. This is how we're giving it to Bryce. This is how we're handling it all and how we handled it previously. I think it's beautiful. And this is the transparency that I really hoped Dave Canales would bring to more press conferences. To be honest, press conferences are always coach speak. Belichick is known for it most. And don't get me wrong, as much as I love those press conferences where he's, hey, we're on to Cleveland, we're on to New York, whatever it may be. I absolutely love that. But I also love the openness of Dave Canales. And I think that's one of the things that fans really will attach to is, oh my God, he's given us a ton of information and everything like that. Even if you go to somebody like Tomlin, who's known for, kind of going on a little bit, he seems to even go past that a little bit more of a player's coach, especially in the way that he approaches not only the players that are on the team, but the way that he treated people that didn't make the team, where he was able to sit down and actually give them meaningful feedback. And while I am a critic of that, because I feel like there's other coaches that can handle that, it does show a certain level of professionalism that Dave is bringing to the table, which I am super happy for and hope that the Carolina Panthers continue to want this professionalism longer, deeper, and into the culture for a very long time.
Dave, now that we're in a game week, do you think it'll feel different walking onto the field as a head coach on Sunday as opposed to the many times you've done it in other roles?
I'm sure it will, and that's the beauty of it is that we had those preseason games so that I can kind of get the feel for gathering information from my staff and then also being available on the defensive side in case there's a timeout or there's something that I need to be a part of there. So that was really valuable. But again, you go into a regular season game, and playing a division opponent, for me, it's going to be, I'm excited about it, and I think it's a surreal moment, and I'm humbled to be in this position. And I know the guys are counting on me to be able to help the team, put us in those best situations, and when we get to situational football, make sure that we're, on the right page so we can finish games well.
Is there anything that maybe you learned during the preseason, besides being louder during timeouts, that maybe you realized, okay, I thought I would do things this way, but I actually need to do it this way?
I think, just again, the communication with the officials, gathering information about penalties, what's happening here, the review, that whole system, and there's the assist that happens. And so being able to say, like, are we going to get an assist on this, or is this something that I would need to challenge? Just being able to have those conversations. George Lee's upstairs helping me with all those decisions as well. I think from a communication standpoint, I like where we're at, especially offensively with the guys that I've worked with before. So I feel great about just our systems going into this game.
And that's a good thing. To be honest, the one thing that Dave Canales is going to benefit, and I know everybody's waiting for me to say it, but it's that all-star coaching staff from last year. The defensive staff stayed in place for the most part, and of course, Tabor was the special teams coordinator. We brought in Darren Bates as the assistant, and of course, we've added so many more. So all of this culmination of information is finally coming together and benefiting somebody. It obviously didn't benefit Frank Reich. He's no longer here. We're pushing forwards with Dave Canales, and I'm super excited. He's obviously bringing a little bit of what Pete Carroll taught him, a little bit of the structure of how he wants to do things, and of course, the constant communication and collaboration that Pete Carroll always talked about. So, as we continue to move forwards, I continue to have the number one concern, being David Tepper. And then, of course, we got personnel and football issues. But as long as David Tepper is out of it, I am 10 toes in, 2 feet, whatever you want to say. I'm ready for this season, and I hope you are too.
Yet who's going to be up in the box? Like, is Ajero going to be up there, or who's going to be up there? You don't have to go through everybody.
Yeah. The coordinators will all be on the field. I think it's really important as we go through series, particularly after good drives and bad drives, we're able to collect information, be able to troubleshoot things, and also the players can feel the plan, feel the communication and the focus of the coach. I think it's really important for the coordinators. They'll be down there on the field. And then we have a bunch of different coaches that'll be helping upstairs, as well as with substitutions on the field.
From a culture standpoint, how do you view the practice squad traveling? Are there like a certain number of guys that get to go, or is it like a standout reward system? How do you guys do that?
Yeah, and we're going to kind of be at the mercy of how many seats we have available. I love bringing practice squad players, particular guys that are really close to being called up, to be around the team, to feel all the dynamics that happen before a game, the night before preparation, during a game, the conversations that happen on the sideline, the energy that those guys bring on game day, because a lot of times the guys playing are so focused on what's happening. A lot of times the energy of big plays, the celebration of things, the encouragement coming off the field, those things can be really important. So, that's something that I always liked doing. But again, we'll be kind of, at the mercy of how many guys can we actually travel within our numbers.
That's an interesting one. It's interesting because I've had a theory. Now, obviously, we've had some cuts, some restructures, and some other stuff to kind of get down our, negative $8 million in cap space. It's no longer that because, hey, we got Brant Tillis now. And if you watch my Who is Brant Tillis, I said that he was the architect of that team, the guy that actually made the money work. So I think he's going to be able to do that with us. We just need to get the guys in there that deserve to be paid and all that other stuff. But it's interesting. Is Tepper or is Brant Tillis affecting how the team operates by making certain non-negotiables? Like, say, for example, we cannot be under the cap. Over the cap, I apologize. I always think negative and it's under. No. Over the cap. It's possible. Obviously, I have no proof. It's just a theory. If I had a tinfoil hat, I'd put it on. But it's just a thought process. The owner previously stated that he could slouch a little bit on wide receivers. Because if you had a great quarterback, he would elevate those wide receivers. So I'm thinking of something that's in the same idea. Like, hey, we need these guys to elevate, and you need to cut $8 million so we can get back to zero. I don't know. It's just a theory. I want to know your thoughts on it, though. So make sure you put it in the comments below. Do you think Tepper really is taking a step back? I hope so, because I would love to see some of our practice squad guys out there. Hey, if it's going to make Plummer a better quarterback or a actual NFL starting quarterback one day by going on these games and following the team, I'm totally down for it. Especially if my dude Jalen Coker can make the team, make sure he is going to everything. If there's a special team subbing, it needs to be my dude Jalen Coker.
You mentioned earlier in the offseason talking to Tony Dungy, talking to Pete about becoming a head coach and learning some of those lessons. Are there specific things you're doing now that are kind of the opposite of what you knew in Seattle, or doing things differently than you had grown accustomed to?
Yeah, I think the thing that Pete always told me over the years was whenever you get your opportunities, make sure that you care about the things that are important. So I've watched the things that are so important to Pete, the ball, both sides of it, all phases, attacking the ball, taking care of it, running the football, playing with great toughness, our play style, all those things are really just kind of like in my DNA from the years I spent with Pete. And I think the important part as we do our weekly meetings, as we coordinate things, the feel of the practice, really it's finding our way, finding the Panthers way to do things based on who our staff is, based on who our players are and the character of this team. I think it's so important to kind of keep it in our wheelhouse in different ways, So there are some things that are a little bit different, And then of course being able to spend a year with Todd Bowles and to watch him lead with a completely different style. he cared about the same things. And I think that's what encouraged me the most, was to say, if I can stay focused on the things that mattered to these guys, that mattered to Tony, that mattered to Coach Capers, that mattered to Coach Caldwell, who are in the building, and keep our focus, then I feel like we can really build a good, solid team with the mentality and with the philosophy. So we've had a lot of those conversations. How do we do this thing? Do we need more information in these meetings, or should we get them to their position coaches a little quicker so they can go through installs? All those things happen on a daily basis that we work through. So it's a great question, Darren.
Hey, I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time with this. This is why I keep doing this. Dave, it's an A+ press conference from you. I appreciate you answering the questions. I appreciate you just being here for us. This is a 14-minute press conference. It's normally closer to 9 minutes. So that extra few minutes is something I'm absolutely here to enjoy, and hopefully you are too.
Particular you've taken from Don or Jim in that regard?
Yeah, the Leadership Council, that was something that Coach Caldwell did and thought was a really powerful tool, so that we can talk about the direction of our team with a group of guys that have been around the league, guys that have good input, and we can take all those things into consideration. I think with Coach Capers, from the onset, his commitment to playing good football and making the focus on the X's and O's, and so where I would love to spend more time kind of talking through things in a team meeting session right now, because we're still learning our schemes. We've thrown it all at the guys, but the players that we have available will determine what we do well. And so Coach Capers is always encouraging me to get back to the football, let the guys get to that so they can coach guys up. And so love just having, that kind of experience. I'm surrounded by a lot of guys who have seen a lot of football.
If you bring in Bryce through the international program, how did you discover him? How did you land on him? And what can you see him bring to the team?
Speed. So he's a guy who ran 10.27 in the 100. He's got a great frame. Just really looking forward to seeing him out there flying around. He's on our practice squad currently. So I'm excited to just kind of see him develop and see what he can become. Very exciting.
Your interior guys, the two guards and the center, never got to start a game together.
Yeah.
What did you see from them throughout the summer, just working together in the interior?
Yeah, just the toughness, the communication. So when you get veteran players playing with each other, they talk a lot. And so the communication is inside out. It starts with Corbs, and then it works out to Rob and to Damian. And so Damian, then they communicate out to the tackles, and the tackles are tied in with the tight ends. So seeing that makes you feel really good about playing ball. But again, you hit your combos, you start going deep into a game, second quarter, fourth quarter, and the guys start to feel each other out on these combos. That stuff's to come, and we've gotten good work in camp, but those are the valuable things, the valuable lessons that we're going to learn about our group as we go into each week here.
I would agree. And if you don't know much about Dave Canales' offense, obviously it comes from Pete Carroll, but it also comes a little bit from Sean McVay. He runs a lot of 12 personnel and a lot of the mid-zone run, which is why guards make sense. Mid-zone run is going to run the running backs directly behind the guards rather than behind the tackles, because Moten and Icky can't be trusted. So we went out and spent $100+ million to get guys that the coach could trust. Now, he is telling you that you guys are going to have to understand that there's going to be growing pains. This is the growing pains moment. This is the offensive line hasn't played together and hasn't established the communication. So you guys shouldn't plan on a 150-yard rushing game or Bryce's first game being 350 yards. Hey, if it ends up being a shootout, I'm all for it. But it's not going to be because of that middle three. It's going to take time for them to be a little bit more cohesive. That's what I pulled from that right there. But regardless, I'm happy that we upgraded the offensive line. I just need them to play to what they're paid now. And that is going to be the big separator between us and the winner of the NFC South. So,
how vital will they be setting the tone from a protection standpoint?
Yeah, huge. Run game and protections, right? Just the strength and the integrity of the pocket, within reason. We know that defenses across the league are filled with guys who have fantastic rush plans, and so they'll be studying those guys. And I think it really makes the whole group better, as they kind of communicate through just their plan of attack, for different players. But we're counting on both of those things from those guys.
What was your scouting report on your son Saturday?
Yeah, just green. What I loved about it was I could see his aggressive nature. I could see he's not afraid. And now it's just a matter of okay, you have a job. And so I'm just watching him just take the responsibility of what you're required to do in the post. He's playing safety a lot for the game. You know, he's on kickoff cover, kickoff return, and just learning leverage, learning how you fit in the part to whole thing, you know, which is going to be a huge part for him going forward.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Good. Yep. Thank you.
Hey, no, thank you, Dave. And as always, thank you to everybody that made it this far. And of course, the Carolina Panthers for putting out this press conference. Dave Canales continues to give us exactly what we're looking for in a press conference, which is the right information, the plan, and of course, to be honest, what we're going to be worried about. He's already told us now that middle three is going to take some time to grow. The running back room still really hasn't established a true running back one, with Sanders previously hurt, Brooks currently hurt, and of course, Chuba on the final year of his contract, wanting to make a splash to either stay with this team or go to a team that will be able to do something next year. Now, as we move forwards, I'm obviously ready for the Saints game, and I hope you are too. It's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, the pass rush on the Saints side is in flux, just like ours is, but they do have some dynamic weapons on the offensive side of the ball. And of course, they're going to hide their biggest one in Spencer Rattler. So this one should be a winnable game. If I end up coming back next week to a 0-1 Carolina Panthers team, I'm not going to be happy, but I'll understand because this is a part of the rebuild. The rebuild is not a 1 year, it is not a 2 year, it is a 3+ year rebuild. And it is time for Bryce to put foot to pavement and take us there. Now, if you want me to continue to break these down, make sure you continue to follow. Make sure you like this video and everything like that. Share it. I would really appreciate it. And thank you for 1,500 subscribers. I only do it for you guys here because sports is super easy, guys. I made Roll Covered for one reason and one reason only. Sports for sports' sake. Don't need a reason to talk about sports. And I hope to see you on another day so we can talk some more sports. My name is Nick. This has been Roll Coverage, home of the press conference breakdown. Have a great rest of the day. Peace.